Hello and welcome to Prudent Media. My name is Sachin Chatte and on this program we take a look at all the latest releases. This week there are two films. One is the Kannada film starring Kiccha Sudeep, which has seen a pan-India release called Vikrant Rona, and the other is the sequel to Ek Villain called Ek Villain Returns. First, let's take a look at Vikrant Rona. Not all big budget films from the southern part of the country are worth it. Vikrant Rona is a big screen spectacle alright with top production values, but that doesn't help if you don't have a decent story and storytelling backing it. It is like being served ordinary food with some very expensive cutlery. Neither the characters nor the story has any great appeal. The setting, on the other hand, catches your eye, even though almost everything in the film happens in the dark. This is one place where the sun don't ever shine, and I'm talking about the village of Komarattu, that is. The first few minutes of the film play out well, relatively speaking, that is. A lady is driving in a jungle with her daughter in tow in the middle of the night. Not the wisest thing to do, but common sense is not the forte of any of the characters in the film. They all do silly things, especially when it is dark. Now fast forward to the grand entry of a police inspector played by Kiccha Sudeep, who beats up a bunch of bad guys on a Pirates of a Caribbean kind of a ship. Once he is on land, he drives to Komarattu with his little daughter, when else but in the middle of the night when his tire gets punctured. Now without breaking a sweat, he carries her on his shoulders through the jungle, and later he instructs the constables to bring his punctured vehicle back. No prizes for guessing that the cops go again in the middle of the next night to bring it back. Anyway, there are bigger problems plaguing the village. There are haunted houses and mysterious deaths happening which our super cop is determined to solve. Jacqueline Fernandez plays a bar owner who also does an item number bringing back memories of Mungra from that film Inkar, which released back in 1977, in which Helen performed that dance. Every place in this village looks haunted, including the police station. Let alone hanging out at night, you wouldn't want to spend a minute there during the daytime. Add to it, there are killings happening and no one has a clue about the murderer. Among other inanities, a landlord's son, played by Nirup Bhandari, comes to the village after 25 odd years, but his father doesn't allow him to enter the house because of a complicated past. So the young man spends his time talking to his mother through a window. There is also pointless romance thrown in. There is a bachpan ka pyar and all that kind of a jazz. Dark secrets from the past are revealed, but it is all too little too late. For most parts, the film falters, particularly with the writing. The characterization is weak and the motives look forced. Also, we have no idea of the time period of the story. At one point it is mentioned that petrol costs rupees 6 and diesel costs rupees 5, but you would need a super sharp memory and considerable knowledge of fuel prices to figure out the year in which this happened. The dubbed version in Hindi is rather odd because there are characters who speak with a Marathi and a Bhojpuri accent as well, which sounds as odd as a soprano singing Bhangra. Credit is due to the production team and the camera work by William David. Kiccha Sudeep also holds his fort in style and makes the proceedings as good as they can possibly get. But the rest of Vikrant Rona will only make you wail in the dark. I'm going to go with 2 out of 5 stars for this new film called Vikrant Rona. The other release of this week is a sequel to Ek Villain called Ek Villain Returns. Now sample this dialogue from the film. The hero says, "Hero ki ek hi hai kamzori, हीरोगिरी उसके लिए है ज़रूरी," and that is just one of the many inane lines in Ek Villain Returns, which is a sequel to Ek Villain, which released about 8 years back in 2014. The previous film was a loose remake of a Korean thriller called I Saw the Devil, and it did very well at the box office. And that has prompted a sequel whose story has no real connection with the previous film. Now this film is as much fun as Dustin Hoffman's character had when Laurence Olivier, who plays a dentist, asks him, "Is it safe?" in that classic film called Marathon Man. The first and last thing that strikes you about Ek Villain Returns is the fact that not one or two, but all the four primary characters in this film are in dire need of some serious counseling. The screenplay by Mohit Suri and Asim Arora, not forgetting the dialogues, is made of stuff that makes you rue the day that you took up to watching films seriously. Now mercifully, it is only a 128-minute film, but even that is about 120 minutes too long. I tried to make sense of the story and the plot, but my brain refused to be taxed any further. In fact, it is already giving me a headache as I talk about this film. Now, at the risk of a hemorrhage, I will continue. A bunch of youngsters are having fun and playing music. Now, the sound is of an electric guitar, but the visuals are of an acoustic guitar. But don't worry about that, because that is the least of the oddities in the film. And when they are playing this music, a killer strikes and kills a bunch of them. We are then introduced to Gaurav Mehra, who's played by Arjun Kapoor, the spoiled son of a rich guy who crashes the wedding of his girlfriend by doing a wheelie on his bike, and which comes straight to the mandap when the wedding is happening. After cribbing, complaining and kissing the bride on her lips, he leaves. And his favorite dialogue is, "Mujhe marna pasand hai, harna nahi," and he says that more than once. The other character is a singer called RV, played by Tara Sutaria, and the kind of songs she sings at a music festival that have the same effect as fentanyl, which basically can put you to sleep. Then there is a Ula Ober kind of a cab driver, played by John Abraham, who is extremely stony-faced, even when he is showing affection to the woman he loves, and that is played by Disha Patani. To earn extra money, he also works in a zoo where there is a tiger named Hero, and eventually, as we discover, he is the biggest beneficiary of the killings that happen. I am talking about the beneficiary, that is the tiger, not the driver. Now, as the story moves forward, women involved in an unrequited love affair start getting killed one by one, and they get fed to the tiger. Now, I could easily sing the song Neet Na Milare Man Ka. That could have been an apt song. But instead, what we get in the movie is the kind of songs that have become the hallmark of a Mohit Suri film, which are high on intended emotion, but effectively, they are very, very low. J.D. Chakravarti plays a cop who is also a serial killer expert and participates in seminars on the subject. He was the only character who was not in desperate need of a shrink, unlike the rest of them. Now, the word villain is mentioned about a zillion times in the movie just to remind you of what you are watching. There is also a post-credit scene indicating that Ek Villain Returns will re-return. Now, in the movie, the cabbie played by John Abraham keeps saying, "Rating zarur dena." The film deserves 1 star, and that is 1 star too many, which is what I'm going with this film called Ek Villain Returns. Well, that's what I thought of the films that were released this week. Let us know what you think. Do write into us. Our address is features@prudentmedia.in. And until next week, this is me, Sachin, saying goodbye.